Breaking news as the fate of the former state treasurer facing federal extortion and bribery charges is decided.
That's right. Martha Schaffner accused of steering state business toward one broker in return for $36,000 he gave to her. We want to go to Josh Berry. He has been following this story since the very beginning and also broke this story here on KARK. He joins us now live in downtown Little Rock. And Josh, you just returned from the courtroom, so we have a verdict tonight, Josh. She is found guilty on all 14 counts.
Yeah, Ashley, Bob, just at about 5:45, the jury came out of their deliberation room. They had been in there for just over 4 hours. The judge said that they had asked them if they needed any dinner, if they wanted some sandwiches or anything like that. They said, no, we're about to vote. And just a few minutes later, they sent another note back to the judge saying they had reached a verdict. And after all 12 of these jurors came out, sat in their seat, and handed the letter over to the judge read it off, count after count, every single one of them guilty. Counts 1 through 6, interference with commerce by means of extortion, guilty. Count 7, attempted extortion for the money that she took, which was FBI money from Steele Stevens at her home in Newport, guilty. And counts 8 through 14, soliciting, demanding, accepting, or agreeing to accept a bribe by an agent of entity receiving federal funds, all guilty. And of course, a very somber face on Martha Schaffner, hearing guilty verdict after guilty verdict. The team of attorneys didn't really have much to say as they left the courtroom, except the fact Chuck Banks saying that, of course, they're disappointed with the result of this trial, but they still have more to go. There were 10 more additional federal charges listed in another indictment released shortly after the first one, and they still have to go through that trial. And Martha Schaffner, as we just saw leaving the courtroom just now out through those front doors, she's not in custody. Sentencing will have to wait till after that next trial. So, of course, much more still to come. Plenty of indictments. But again, guilty on all of the 14 counts that have been listed in this federal indictment and that were decided by a jury here today. We're live in Little Rock at the federal courthouse. Josh Berry, KARK 4 News.
Josh, thank you very much. Safety matters. We hear about it all the time. Demolition companies working to remove asbestos from buildings, which is known to cause breathing problems and sometimes cancer. Removing asbestos near a Little Rock Head Start has some parents concerned about their children's safety. KARK 4's Dustin Barnes checks in to see if anyone's health is affected by this. Dustin, what do we know?
Crews are removing asbestos in a building that's right next to the King Head Start Center on Colonel Glenn Road. Even though state agencies approve of the company's procedure, parents are still worried about lingering effects for the young children. You can't expect a playground to be quiet, especially when there are 4- and 5-year-olds running around. But right next door to King Head Start making noise, it's a danger zone as crews remove asbestos from this building set to hold office space.
And these are kids and parents going by here.
Della Jordan couldn't help but notice the sights and sounds when she took her granddaughter to school this morning. She says it's uncomfortable to leave her 5-year-old here, knowing this is going on.
When you normally see the people dealing with asbestos, they have on suits and gloves and all this kind of protective gear.
The whole job's tile, removing the asbestos floor tile.
Russell Ward, who runs the demolition company doing the work, says everyone is safe. That's a filter you hear that brings fresh air in. Ward says the filter cleans the air from within and then pushes uncontaminated air out.
We're following the letter of the law to make sure nobody does get exposed.
So how can you guarantee parents that there is no iota of asbestos coming out of those vents?
We do air monitoring to check to make sure everything is good.
Jordan says she's a bit leery of sending her granddaughter back to school until things quiet down.
It's just not my baby. I'm generally concerned about all the babies and the workers, everyone in that area.
I just learned late this afternoon that the company will stop with their work and resume during the nighttime hours when school is out from now on as a result of all of the concern. Now, UAMS, which oversees the Head Start, says they sent occupational specialists out to check the demolition company's procedures, and they say the company is doing everything right. Back to you.
Dustin, thanks. A down power line, a jackknifed 18-wheeler, and a historic sleet event. Those are just some of the reasons outlined by the Highway Department for those major tie-ups on Interstate 40 and 55 last week. KARK4's David Goins says attention now turning to potential changes for the future. David?
Ashley, the question started here at the state capitol this morning, and they continued with the Highway Commission having a specially called meeting this afternoon to try to get a sense of what exactly hampered those efforts last week. Now, the scene's now quite familiar with the traffic backing up on large stretches of Interstate 55 and Interstate 40 in eastern Arkansas around West Memphis and Marion last week. The Highway Department today saying one possible solution going forward, not surprisingly, would be a little more funding. It does have 6 specialized plows for snow and ice removal. By contrast, the southern part of Missouri has 500 of those same exact type of plows. No one thinks Arkansas, of course, needs that many given the weather here, but clearly more would help. Other ideas, building more salt domes and perhaps taking more decisive action like closing interstates before the storm hits. That's an idea that Highway Department Director Scott Bennett says he'd look at.
The one thing that I know we talked about at the commission meeting, they want some recommendations about how to make things better, and making things better really has to do with equipment and personnel. So, we'll continue to work on that and come up with a recommendation for them, and we'll see where it goes.
One thing is for sure, so far Arkansas has spent $18 million this year on ice and snow removal. If that sounds like a lot, it is. The state had just under $5 million for the same winter season last year. Live at the state capitol, David Goins, KARK4 News.
All right, David, thank you very much. An old building getting new buyers because money matters. We have learned the family who owns Cheese Restaurants, very successful restaurateur family, has purchased the old Boyle building in downtown Little Rock. The building is in walking distance of the state capitol. There it is right there. No doubt you've seen it. Word is the family is going to turn this into a hotel. The historic 12-story, approximately 100,000 square foot Boyle building was built in 1909 and was considered Little Rock's first skyscraper.
And new information tonight from the Bryant School District as we have learned that the Bryant superintendent is on leave right now. According to an email sent out by the school district, Superintendent Randy Rutherford is on paid leave for the next 30 days. We have no reason why he's on paid leave. Rhonda Sanders, school board president, says that information is confidential.
Because education matters, teacher pay a top priority at the House and Senate Education Committee meeting this morning at the state capitol. A report shows teacher salaries in Arkansas are about $2,000 lower compared to neighboring states like Texas and Tennessee. It also showed the disparities within Arkansas among school districts. An average teacher salary in Arkansas is just over $46,000 compared to more than $48,000 in Texas and Tennessee.
We don't know what the number is going to be, but 2 things that are really important. Doing something about that starting salary that is, and many teachers have been stuck at that districts at that starting salary for a long time. That and the disparities, because you can live in one part of the state, start at $40,000 or more, and then someplace else is $29,000 or $31,000.
Senator Elliott says one of her concerns and what she'll be focusing on is not just money, but also finding out how to make communities rather more appealing to teachers to want to live and work there. Elliott says a decision on teacher pay won't be made until early fall in August.
A community comes together to help a man grapple with addiction.
There's many times where I wanted to quit, wanted to leave, wanted to continue using.
Find out how he persevered through in tonight's Community Matters Report.
And I hope you took our advice and got out and enjoyed the day today. If you didn't have a chance to yet, do it this evening because cooler temperatures are on the way. In Little Rock this afternoon, 77 our high temperature. We could very well be 15 to 20 degrees colder for tomorrow. We'll let you know how long the chillier weather will stick around in just a few minutes.
From the station that brings you local news that matters, this is KARK 4 News at 6 in high definition. With Bob Clausen, Ashley Katz, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan, and Aaron Peters with your Razorback Nation report. KARK 4 News, sponsored by Everett Buick.